Hey sis, each month inside Entrusted Women University, we feature a brand new interview. You can watch the full interview only in Entrusted Women University, but you can check out this snippet right now.
Always a bunch of things that are going through me. So I wrote a nonfiction proposal. We met about it, tweaked it a little bit, sent another proposal, second one. And so finally, this is probably like 9 months, 10 months later, she's like, you know what, like right now, your platform really is not big enough. You know, of course, you're a great writer. I love what you bring and all that, but just the platform thing. And so she's like, you're welcome to, search out another agent if you want to. And so I just sent her an email back and I said, I'm either lazy or loyal, but, I'm not going to really search for another agent. I'm just going to, like, I can't control my platform right now that much. And so I'm just going to do my best to kind of get better, see what happens, take my time and, continue on. And then like literally like I think a day or 2 days later, she emailed me. She's like, okay, I've been praying. And she's like, why don't we go back to that fiction round again? And it's so funny because I had seen another author. I know another author peer of mine who had just gotten some contracts with us, not a smaller publisher, but with Love Inspire. And I thought, maybe I can write for them. Maybe I can do that. Maybe I should go. So the fact that she was praying about it and emailed me was just confirmation. And so,
Hey, friends, welcome to another exciting interview for Entrusted Women. I am so delighted to be with Jenny Erlingson. Hey, Jenny.
hello.
Y'all, she's a new author. Oh my goodness. It's exciting and amazing and overwhelming all at once. It's like cranking a child out. So, just in case you don't know who Jenny is, I'm going to take a minute and read her bio so that you can get acquainted with her. Jenny Erlingson is an author and speaker of Nigerian descent. After 12 years working in junior high and women's ministries, she moved with her family, get this, y'all, from Alabama to Iceland. Just a little lateral move.
Yeah.
When she's not running after her four kids or ministering alongside her husband, she can be found writing romantic fiction and creative nonfiction to inspire deep faith in diverse settings, as well as encouraging other writers. Her writing has been featured on Encourage, Live Original, Live Original.
Mhm. Live original.
Live Original should have clarified that before I started reading. Velvet Ashes, wow, and more. And in the margins, you might find her reading 5 books at a time with a
Mhm.
side of Icelandic chocolate. And you
Mhm.
can learn more about her at jennyerlingson.com. I need to know more about this Icelandic chocolate. Is it different from regular chocolate?
I don't know. It's just good. And I think that people, when you think about European chocolate, sometimes people think about like Switzerland and all that. But Icelandic chocolate is really good. I mean, it's you got all your different flavors, but because their milk and their cream is so fresh, and then they add
Okay.
in for some pieces like black licorice, so that's a little bit different for people. But yeah, so I just whenever I fly into the States, most things are so expensive, but if you're gonna get a gift from me, it's gonna be chocolate probably because I can afford
Yes.
that. It's
Yes,
good.
I hope I'm on the Christmas list. I don't want
Okay.
my chocolate to have the black licorice because
Yeah.
that's an
Acquired
acquired
taste, yeah.
taste.
It's
Right.
not my favorite, but there's one that has a little bit of it. But yeah, let me know. I mean, salted caramel, mint? Do you like dark or milk chocolate, toffee?
I think I
I mean,
prefer milk chocolate, but I believe
mhm.
that the dark is healthier. Is that right?
Yes, yeah. I mean, so they
So
say,
let's
right?
go with
But
milk.
but dark is better with
I
the
said,
mint. Yeah. So we'll go with
yeah.
some milk.
So
So I got
let's
you.
go
I
with the
got you.
unhealthy. Jesus is like, shame on you.
I
Shame.
know with the more sugar. Let's go ahead with that.
Okay, so how long have you been a new author?
Oh my goodness. Well, I guess it's a, new fiction author.
New
So
fiction
I
author, that's
have
right.
published two nonfiction books and then
Okay.
also have done some devotionals and even part of what I do. I've had women submit little devotionals. I've put them together into a book to put out there. And so, but the fiction part, as far as published,
Mhm.
definitely is been, I don't know, the past 2.5 years in this process. I mean, fiction was my first love in writing. So I've been writing fiction
Hmm.
since I was, a child, I feel like. But as far as the publishing process, it's been about 2 years.
Okay, but your book is out at the time of this recording. It's out now.
It should, yes, yeah. Well, no,
Okay.
hold on. No, it's June. What month is this? It comes out June 18th. So yeah, so it's not out now. So I'm just still in the
19. Wait, I
process.
got
It's
it.
about
Hold
to.
on a minute. Hold on.
Okay.
It be like that. It be like that. This is it right
Look
here.
at
Her part.
her.
Her part to
Oh,
play. Yeah,
look at
yeah.
her.
Yeah,
Yeah, so some
I
some some of y'all got the book early, okay? Y'all,
look,
everybody else got the book early, but
I've been
for
reading it too.
reviews.
I've
But
been
yeah, so I
reading it.
actually
It
don't have
is
a copy yet.
nice. Okay.
Me neither.
Okay, so Jenny don't know when her book comes out. Well, she does
Yeah,
know. It
it's
comes out in
it's June.
June.
Yeah, June 18th it comes out. So as of right
Okay.
now, at the time of this recording, it is not out, but it's very, very close.
Okay, so on this side, I got to ask you, how does it feel to finally be publishing some fiction work? And that's your first love. Why did you do
hmm
nonfiction before you did the fiction if fiction is your first love?
I think it just naturally just came up out of just my relationship with the Lord and the things that I was doing, even as a teenager, volunteering in children's ministry and then continuing on in college. Was in social work, but ended up like, gospel choir, the chaplain of the gospel choir. So you begin to, that's just the output, because along with that, I'm writing in my journal, I'm writing poetry, prose, began writing curriculum. So it just was kind of naturally things I was writing in worship, in encouragement to people. And in my 20s, I did try to submit a manuscript and knew nothing about nothing, right? So I wrote it, it was about 110,000 words, and I sent that whole entire printed thing off to an agent. And he so graciously sent me a letter back, was like, this is not okay yet. But just keep at it. But you know how it is. I mean, when you are not as well versed in some of that process, it did feel like, I mean, a heavy rejection, and that was literally one agent. So I did not write fiction for a few years until, yeah, just honestly on this end in Iceland, and just it's a more of a long story about God kind of really reconfirming my call to write, and I just started leading in that direction again. Um, so yeah, so that's why I just kind of was like, for other things and started my own kind of publishing hybrid kind of LLC to help other people publish their books. I was like, I can do this, not on my own, but I can do this. I can release things to encourage people, even if it's not perfect. And so I know several of our Entrusted group members, I've worked with or talked to. But fiction, I was like, I really want to learn the craft better. I don't want to be that 20-something-year-old that, got one rejection and gave up. So I was willing to take my time with fiction. So I was like, let me go to the conference. Let me learn the craft. Let me take my time, getting an agent. So as I began to study the process more, especially during the pandemic, like some folks were baking bread, some folks were getting pets. I did get some plants. Um, 2 out of 3 are dead. But I started working on books and studying the craft better. So that really kind of came out of that, where I'm like, let me go ahead and
That
move
is
forward
so
with this
funny.
more. hmm
That's so funny. Patricia Raybon, I interviewed her about her fiction book, and she started delving deeper. Well, she already had a manuscript that she had been working on, but really started to pursue like doing this
hmm
for real
Yeah.
during the pandemic. So I was
Yeah.
like, wow, look what God was doing. Some
What
was
God does.
birthing breads, and some were birthing books. Look at
Okay,
God.
okay. And I love Patricia. I mean, her books are incredible, and she has been
Honey, oh my
such an
gosh.
encouragement on this journey. Oh my, it's so good. I cannot wait for her third one, I think, in this series to come out.
Hmm.
So shout out Patricia. She's just been so sweet, honestly. She endorsed this book, Her Part to
Yeah.
Play, and I'm just so appreciative for her.
She's a gift to the body and gift
hmm
to writers, and specifically a gift to writers of color. I
Yes.
I, I can't say enough. But
Yes.
okay, here we go. How'd you start writing?
Mm, How'd I start? Honestly, I don't really know. I just know that when I was little, my parents said that I would grab pieces of paper and start scribbling on it. So that was really my start. But I think really intentionally writing, honestly, just came out of the overflow of reading. I would read so many
Mm.
books. Some summers, you know how we were, like, when our kids were just like, I'm bored. And I'm like, boredom is a luxury. We should talk about bored. Like, I mean, we had things to do. Like, you're gonna go outside, you're gonna do all these things. So for me, it was either I'm gonna spend all day outside, or some days I would spend all day reading books, Babysitter Club
Wow.
books, some Nancy Drew books, like during the day. And so just really fell in love with reading, and that I think just informed my propensity and my leaning toward writing. That just kind of began to inform that. And so I would have my Barbies, and I remember I had these two black Barbies. They were the same ones. I can't remember if it was a repeat birthday gift or whatever. And so I was like, I'm gonna write a series about some twin girls, and who basically are, their stories, kind of like, because Sweet Valley High, you had those twins. And so these are my two black twin girls who solve mysteries. Now, that manuscript will never see the light of day because I don't know, 12. But it's, yeah, so really kind of working towards something in chapters and plot was, as a preteen, writing about my Barbies, because when I was 12, I still played with Barbies, but that's not the same for my daughter who is 12. So
The Barbie's had an awakening at this
okay,
point,
you know
but
what? Yeah, that's true.
Barbie's doing
That's
new
so true.
things. Barbie, we can't talk about Barbie right now. We don't have time.
Yeah.
That that is so fascinating because I wasn't a reader. I was just a creative, so I was always
Mhm.
creating things. But hearing you say writing came out of the overflow of reading is such a statement. Because I think readers, you're just collecting all these words.
Mhm.
And they
Yes.
gotta come out eventually, which is why I'm
Yeah.
always telling my younger son, "You're supposed to be a writer," but that's neither here nor there. Okay, did you major in English when you went to school?
I did not. I did not. I majored, actually, both my undergrad and grad are in social work. So
Huh.
that's what, but my graduate degree, I actually, because I mean, again, I was writing the whole time. I was it called, specialize in grant writing and administration. So no, policy plan administration, and then my internship during that time in social work for a year and a half was with our local council's grants writer. So writing was a part of even that too, and that's kind of what, I did. I never went into social work. I just went straight into ministry. But my when I graduated, my plan was to kind of work at that level of writing grants, of looking at policies and things like that. So yeah, but it was not English.
Mm-hmm. And I find it so fascinating that you have this mind that can do the fantasy and the nonfiction, or
Hmm.
that kind of like corporate type
Yeah.
writing. I That's fascinating to me. Maybe I could do it if I tried, but it would be like pulling out all of my teeth with some
I
tweezers.
know. Yeah, it's not. But what's the beautiful part is that that part of looking at, especially grant proposals and looking at funding organizations and what they required, I realized that was really helpful in this process of writing proposals.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So, like, sectioning things out and gathering that information and taking all that information into a kind of a succinct type of document. So, again, I wrote maybe like a couple grants, but that process actually really kind of helped me help proposals not feel so overwhelming in this
Mm-hmm.
process.
Mm-hmm. Because you could do it in bite-sized, organized
Hmm.
chunks. Okay.
Yes, yes.
Awesome. And why Christian romance?
Oh, I think because that's what I've read. Well, growing up, you're just reading all sorts. Children's literature, I feel like, is, was safer, and just that all sorts of things. And
Used to
definitely
be,
has,
honey. Used to be.
yeah, well, yeah, you're
So
right.
you get
That
into
is
the middle
that
grades
is
and you like, what
yeah, that is the
is my
truth.
mama okay with me reading this? Actually, not even
Listen,
middle grades. I think fifth. By the time you get to fourth and fifth grade, maybe third grade, and honestly, probably some picture books. Quite. So
no,
never
like
mind.
here in Iceland, there's some picture books where I'm like, no, that's not coming into our house. You know what I'm
The
saying? Like
U.S.
that, yeah.
too. U.S.
Mm-hmm.
too. When I was in
Mm-hmm.
education, so children's literature is not what it used to be. Let's say that. Okay, keep
No,
going.
it's not. But oh, that's triggering so many thoughts. 'Cause I'm just thinking, like, that side note of, it's not what it used to be. And unfortunately, I think what's paying the price is when we would just have those books, like the African American history books, and other things that were maybe a part of that. I think some of that is falling under because, you know what I'm saying, like, we're getting just chunked together with any kind of diversity, and we're missing a lot of gold that we
Mhm.
used to
Or
read.
we're
And
being
so that's
taken
it's just
out, or we're being censored. I
yes,
saw a
yeah,
book about
yes.
we didn't mean to go here, but I saw a book about Rosa Parks. It was, I mean, a very innocent children's book about Rosa Parks. Out, it was banned. I was like, what, Rosa?
You're
We
like
censoring
like
Rosa,
Rosa.
not
Like, I
Rosa.
mean, like my daughter has a Barbie Rosa, you know what I'm saying? Like, why Rosa? And so I think, I mean, but going back again, I think that just speaks to that discernment of like, y'all, can we not just be maybe lazy with our, what we're doing, but really have discernment with what we're, just like I do when my kids watch movies and when there are books, I'm looking at reviews, I'm reading through to see what does this have in it, and then what can I teach from it if I am okay with it or whatever. But so all
Yeah,
that to say, so yeah, so Christian for me, like that's what I took in for the most part as I got older, because I do try to be careful and discerning about what I take in, as far as literature and what I'm watching. And so and with romance, like the like the 90s and the 2000s, like there were just some
yeah,
really like just great the movies, like Love and
iconic.
Basketball.
Yeah,
Iconic, yeah, and those rom-coms and those movies that were just so nostalgic, so fun, and all that. Not always the cleanest, all the time, but
no,
like just
not at
just
all.
the warmth and the feeling and the of just that newness and the romance. I just want, like, I always love when movies kind of have a little bit of that, for the most part. So yeah, so I think for me, being in the industry, Christian industry, that was a given just because of what I write and kind of how I anchor myself. But wanting to step into that space of being able to talk about romance, being able to include it, but it representing really that pursuit of Jesus towards us, that
Mm,
and the romance that you see in the Bible, y'all. I mean, you think about Ruth and Boaz, things like that, or Isaac
mhm,
and Rebecca when he saw her
mhm.
coming, or she saw him coming, and how she covered herself, and there's all these moments woven in Song of Solomon, as well. And I think it's just a beautiful part, of course, of all of us. I mean, I think it's one of the most universal themes for us because of relationships,
Mhm.
and so but romance for me too is not even just in that box of that male and female relationship. It's also like how God pursues us, how He woos us, how He talks sweetly to us, the intentional things that He does for us. And so I just hope that the books kind of give a picture of that and kind of turn your eyes upward, because now you're reading something that's clean, warm, but
Thank you, God.
also that
Thank
thank you
you.
God, right? That you don't got to go wash your mind afterwards. So but still the slow burn, that we all love, and the newness of a new relationship. So
That is so good. I didn't really honestly get introduced to this idea of God as a pursuer of us and God as a God who woos us essentially with,
mhm.
the things that he allows in our lives. Until I think last year. I had
Oh wow.
never even thought about it. I was at a conference, I was at a retreat with Stacy Eldridge, who did Captivating, Unveiling the Mysteries of a Woman's
Yeah.
Soul. She has a whole retreat centered off of her book, but she introduced this idea. I never even thought about it. But then when I realized it, I was like, oh, God does woo us. God does
Hmm.
romance us, so to speak, not
Yes.
in the sense of like a romantic relationship, if people can elevate their mind to embrace this new thought. But
Yeah.
that's so good.
Hmm.
Getting to for us to see God, the heart of God, as we watch this romance
Yes.
unfold in a fiction book. Lord have
Yes.
mercy. I didn't know you was gonna be this deep. Okay. All right. Now, did you experience any challenges, or do I want to go there? Okay, no, I don't want to go there yet. I don't want to go there yet. I want to
You're wooing us in as we're listening. We're kind of
yeah,
bit
I'm
by
like,
bit, like what we about to talk about.
okay. Talk about being acquired by Revell
Mm.
Books.
Hmm.
Because I'm with Revell. How did
Yes, I have your book on my shelf.
Oh, thank you. How did that come about? You go the traditional route, agent, then you start pitching all these publishers?
Yeah, well, actually, let me go back even before that. So, when I felt like, okay, I need to move forward with writing over here in Iceland, I've always been following Books and Such, which is my literary agency, and
Mhm.
saw that they had a new agent, Barb Bruce. And so I thought, okay, this is good timing to
Oh,
kind of just
Barb.
send a fiction manuscript. And so long story short, she looked it over. She's like, this is great, but I don't think it's marketable yet. And here's one thing that's important, I'm sure we're going to discuss a little bit later, is that, and she was like, okay, how does this market to, because this is going to be mostly for the African American market. We know if you're writing Christian fiction as a, Black author, and as, the characters are authors or characters of color, is going to be toward that market. But anyway, but she said it's not marketable yet. But she's like, but I see that you have all of this content in the nonfiction space. So why don't you write a proposal for something if there's something that you've been wanting to write for nonfiction? So I did. I had, there's always a bunch of things that are going through me. So I wrote a nonfiction proposal. We met about it, tweaked it a little bit, sent another proposal, second one. And so finally, this is probably like 9 months, 10 months later, she's like, you know what, like right now, your platform really is not big enough. Of course, you're a great writer. I love what you bring and all that, but just the platform thing. And so, so she's like, you're welcome to, search out another agent if you want to. And so I just sent her an email back, and I said, I'm either lazy or loyal, but, I'm not going to really search for another agent. I'm just going to, I can't control my platform right now that much. And so I'm just going to do my best to kind of get better, see what happens, take my time, and, continue on. And then literally I think a day or 2 days later, she emailed me. She's like, okay, I've been praying. And she's like, why don't we go back to that fiction route again? And it's so funny because I had seen
Look at
another
God.
author. I know another author peer of mine who had just gotten some contracts with us, it's not a smaller publisher, but with Love Inspired. And I thought, maybe I can write for them. Maybe I can do that. Maybe I should go. So the fact that she was praying about it and emailed me was just confirmation. And so she said, let's work on a manuscript for Love Inspired because it's 55,000 words. So I worked on that. I wrote that manuscript in a month. She loved it. Showed it to the rest of the agency. They loved it. So I got signed as an author, I think in September 21. And then, presented that to Love Inspired. And when they got it, they loved it and thought it was great. But, there's specific topics that they mostly cover. And so the part of Hollywood, a little bit in there, wasn't necessarily what they covered, but still liked it. And so it's
Wait, but
interesting because
who's Love Inspired, Jeannie? I'm sorry to introduce you.
Yeah, no problem. Love Inspired does it's probably, you'll see that usually like in Walmart and Barnes and Noble and all that, but it's the mass market, right? So it's under Harlequin. So I think that most people think when they think of romance novels, they're probably thinking of Harlequin novels that you've seen. But Love Inspired is under them, an imprint of theirs, but that they're writing Christian fiction, inspirational fiction, and but they do also have trade books, so a little bit bigger books as well.
Okay.
But so that's
it's a publishing house. It's a publishing house.
It is a publishing house. Yes. Yeah.
Oh,
so
okay.
and great. Many authors write with them consistently and write with them, and then even other publishers as well. But so just that story just didn't fit for them, which was fine. And I was appreciative of the amazing feedback. But I remember because Barb came back to me, she's like, was almost so disappointed for me, was just like, oh, like, what are we going to do and all that. And I said, Barb, honestly, like, I trust God's timing. Like, I want to take my time with this. And so like, I'm okay. So let's pivot. What's it, whatever. And so she's like, you know what, if you can add like 25,000 words to this, let's try to pitch it to, to other places. So I did. I was getting ready to travel to the States. So I wrote 25,000 words in a month, sent it to her. And honestly, like within a few weeks, she was like, got an email from my editor, Ravel, that, she wants to look at this, and then took the next step to the editorial board and then to pub board, and then signed in July 22.
That's amazing.
I hope you enjoyed that interview snippet, and I want you to be sure and check out Entrusted Women University by visiting membership.entrustedwomen.com to see the interviews in their entirety. And join us next week for more content to help you on your writing and speaking journey.